Here's a list of 20 most weird, fascinating and unusual American history photos with their intriguing backstories. Please subscribe. Click the thumbs up button to give us a like and leave a comment below the video. History photo number 1. Abraham Lincoln's funeral train 1865. A somber black and white image of the funeral train carrying Abraham Lincoln's body. People are lined along the tracks, some in tears. After Lincoln's assassination, his body was taken on a 1,654-mile train journey from Washington, D.C., to his hometown of Springfield, Illinois. Over 7 million Americans came to pay their respects at stops along the route. People reportedly held mirrors up to reflect sunlight onto the train as a way to light his way one last time. This wasn't just a funeral. It was the first large-scale national mourning in U.S. history. History photo number 2. The Great Boston Molasses Flood 1919. A chaotic scene of a destroyed neighborhood covered in what looks like mud but is actually molasses. In Boston, a 50-foot-tall tank holding 2.3 million gallons of molasses burst, releasing a sticky wave moving at 35 miles per hour. The flood killed 21 people and injured 150, and it caused such chaos that rescuers got stuck in the goo. It took weeks to clean up, but even decades later, on hot days, locals claimed they could still smell molasses in the air. History photo number 3. Operation Catapult 1942. Camouflage cows. A cow painted with black and white stripes, blending into the background like a zebra. During World War II, the U.S. military trained on farms, and cows often got caught in the crossfire. To protect livestock, farmers painted them in stripes and bright colors to make them visible to soldiers. The sight of camouflaged cows was so bizarre that it even made soldiers laugh, an unintentional morale booster. History photo number 4. Frozen cowboys of the blizzard of 1888. A stark image of cowboys frozen in a blizzard, their cattle dying around them. One of the most severe blizzards in U.S. history, it struck without warning and buried parts of the Midwest and Great Plains in snow drifts as high as 30 feet. Cowboys were caught mid-cattle drive, and many froze to death. Survivors told harrowing tales of eating frozen cattle and crawling on all fours through snow to find shelter. History photo number 5. Dorothy Counts faces racism 1957. A young black girl walking through a crowd of jeering white students, her head held high. Dorothy Counts was one of the first black students to integrate Charlotte, North Carolina's schools. On her first day, she faced a mob screaming slurs, throwing rocks, and even spitting at her. She lasted only 4 days before her family withdrew her for her safety. Despite this, the photo became a symbol of courage and the fight for civil rights. Please subscribe. Click the thumbs up button to give us a like and leave a comment below the video. History photo number 6. Nixon's Bowling Lane 1973. President Richard Nixon gleefully rolling a bowling ball down a lane, inside the White House. Nixon loved bowling so much that he had a single-lane alley installed in the basement of the White House. His obsession was seen as quirky at first, but later mocked as symbolic of his secretive and insular nature during the Watergate scandal. The lane still exists and has been used by multiple presidents since. History photo number 7. Baby Parade in Asbury Park 1904. Babies in elaborate costumes being pushed in ornate carriages during a parade. This was part of a bizarre tradition at the Jersey Shore. Wealthy families would dress their infants in absurdly intricate costumes, often with political or social themes, and parade them down the boardwalk. Judges awarded prizes for best baby. It was adorable and a little weird to imagine tiny George Washingtons and little suffragettes rolling by. History photo number 8. Lindbergh baby ransom 1932. A ladder leaning against the home of Charles Lindbergh, marking where the kidnapper entered. Charles Lindbergh, the first man to fly solo across the Atlantic, faced a nightmare when his baby was kidnapped. The ransom note demanded $50,000, and though Lindbergh paid, the child was found dead weeks later. The trial of the suspect, Bruno Hauptmann, captivated America and became one of the first cases to involve forensic evidence like handwriting analysis. History photo number 9. The Missing Day in Alaska 1867. Russian officials lowering their flag and Americans raising theirs during the Alaska Purchase. When the US bought Alaska from Russia for $7.2 million, the handover happened on October 18, 1867. But here's the catch. Alaska had been using the Julian calendar, while the US used the Gregorian calendar. When the transfer occurred, 12 days were skipped, making October 7th suddenly October 18th. The locals joked that Alaska didn't exist for a whole week. History photo number 10. Roosevelt's polio swim sessions 1920s. Franklin D. Roosevelt swimming with other polio patients, smiling despite his struggles. Before becoming president, Roosevelt was struck by polio, which left him paralyzed from the waist down. He refused to let it define him and spent hours in pools, believing water therapy would help his recovery. These sessions became publicized, inspiring others with disabilities. Even though he never regained full mobility, he showed the world what resilience looked like. 11. San Francisco's Cliff House shipwreck parties 1900s. Partygoers posing on a beached shipwreck near the Cliff House. In the early 20th century, San Francisco's coastline became notorious for shipwrecks. Instead of lamenting the disasters, locals turned them into party destinations. The most famous wreck, the King Philip, became an impromptu picnic spot. People dressed in their finest clothes to explore the wreck, climb masts, and take quirky photos, blending tragedy with peculiar celebration. Please subscribe. Click the thumbs up button to give us a like and leave a comment below the video. 12. The Goat-Pulled Taxi 1890s. A small, goat-drawn cart with a child riding in it. Before motor vehicles became common, urban areas like New York City had alternative transportation options for kids. One of the quirkiest was goat-pulled taxis, where children could pay a small fee to ride around parks or neighborhoods. These miniature cabs were both a fun activity and a way for poor families to make a living. 13. Flagpole sitters 1920s. A man sitting on a tiny platform at the top of a pole, far above a crowd. In the roaring 1920s, people did some pretty wild things for fame, and flagpole sitting became a bizarre trend. It started with a stuntman, Alvin "Shipwreck" Kelly, who perched atop a pole for days to draw attention to events. His longest sit lasted 49 days. Crowds would gather to watch, cheering him on and turning the stunt into a weird symbol of endurance. 14. The UFO crash in Roswell 1947. Military personnel inspecting debris in the desert. When a rancher discovered strange debris on his land near Roswell, New Mexico, the military claimed it was a weather balloon. but rumors spread that it was an alien spacecraft. The photo of officers examining the material became infamous, sparking a fascination with UFOs and government conspiracies. Even decades later, Roswell remains synonymous with extraterrestrial lore. 15. The bizarre Anti-Mask League of 1919. Protesters in San Francisco holding signs reading, "Down with masks." During the 1918–1919 influenza pandemic, San Francisco implemented mask mandates. While most complied, a vocal group formed the Anti-Mask League, arguing masks were a violation of personal freedom. Their protests included public rallies where members defiantly burned masks. Sound familiar? This century-old debate over public health and personal liberty feels oddly modern. 16. Saluting a Giant Cheese 1801. An engraving of a giant cheese being presented to President Thomas Jefferson. In a strange act of patriotism, dairy farmers from Massachusetts made a 1,235-pound wheel of cheese as a gift for Thomas Jefferson. They called it the Mammoth Cheese and delivered it by wagon. Jefferson proudly displayed it in the White House, but nobody really knew what to do with so much cheese. Eventually, it was eaten, though not before inspiring countless jokes about government waste. Please subscribe. Click the thumbs up button to give us a like and leave a comment below the video. 17. Children in baby cages 1930s. Babies in wire mesh cages hanging out of apartment windows. In the 1930s, urban parents came up with a bizarre solution to the lack of outdoor space for their kids. They installed wire cages outside apartment windows so babies could get fresh air and sunlight. These precarious contraptions were meant to improve health, but gave parents constant anxiety. Thankfully, this odd trend didn't last long. 18. The Times Square Horse Drinking Fountain 1900s. Horses drinking from a massive marble fountain in the middle of bustling Times Square. Before cars took over New York City, horse-drawn carriages dominated. To keep the horses hydrated, the ASPCA built elegant drinking fountains in public squares. The Times Square fountain became a landmark, where both horses and humans cooled off. The fountains were a strange mix of practicality and high-class design. 19. Mark Twain and Tesla Hangout 1894. Mark Twain standing in Nikola Tesla's lab, holding a glowing light powered wirelessly. Mark Twain, the famed writer, and Nikola Tesla, the eccentric inventor, were unlikely friends. Twain loved visiting Tesla's lab, where he posed for photos with Tesla's groundbreaking experiments. In one shot, he's holding a glowing bulb powered by Tesla's wireless electricity. Their friendship combined literature and science, showing the fascinating intersections of genius. 20. The Corpse Bride of La Pascualita 1930s. A lifelike mannequin in a wedding dress shop in El Paso, Texas. In the 1930s, a bridal shop unveiled a mannequin so realistic it terrified locals. Rumors spread that it was the embalmed body of the shop owner's daughter, who had died on her wedding day. Known as La Pascualita, the mannequin became a local legend. Even today, visitors claim her eyes follow them, adding a creepy twist to the shop's history. These stories prove that American history is filled with strange and wonderful moments, often blending humor, tragedy, and mystery. Which one surprised you the most?
Thanks for watching. Please support our channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. New videos are uploaded regularly.